introduce you to your team or reintroduce you to your team. Some of us, we have some new faces, and then our folks who've been around for a very long time. My name's Alana Jordan. I am the Membership and Development Manager. I came on board in October, and I'm very thankful to be part of the organization. Since I graduated college back in 2005, I've been looking, which was back then Stanpo, started engaging with them just by looking for jobs through the Job Center, and through all the different organizations throughout my career have been engaged with the organization, and I'm really thankful to be part of the team now. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ben Bullock, who is our COO, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself and his role with the organization.
Well, hi. As Alana said, I'm Ben Bullock. I'm the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Together SC. I have been with the association for almost 10 years. And I started straight out of grad school, and those of you who have known me for a while know the story. I finished graduate school and could not decide what kind of nonprofit I wanted to work for because I love all kinds of nonprofit organizations. And Madeline took a chance on me, and I've been at this association ever since. And I like to say that I never had to choose. Because now I get to work for all of you. And so I have enjoyed that over this period of time, and I look forward to continuing to do so in the future.
All right, thank you, Ben. Debbie, let's move on to you. Will you please introduce yourself?
Well, good morning, everyone. Glad to see so many familiar faces. I'm Debbie Nelson, and I've worn a lot of hats with Together SC over the years. But most recently, I call myself Chief Learning Officer. And what gets me up in the morning is professional development and doing things for our members and how they learn from each other. And so I'm excited to be able to share some of the things that we're doing right now today in a little bit of time. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Debbie. Alex, will you introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. I am Alex. I serve as Together SC's Administrative Coordinator, and I recently graduated from the University of South Carolina. That's when I started working for Together SC, and I'm just happy to be here working with a great group of people and serving an even better group of people, so I'm here.
Thank you, Alex. And Desmond, will you please introduce yourself? She's our newest member to our team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Desmond White. I serve as Together SC's Data and Sustainability Coordinator. I just recently joined the team as a member of the team in August, but I have been interning with Together SC since last August. I actually joined in May, not August, I'm sorry. But I am new to the whole nonprofit sector, and I'm so excited to be learning and working with you guys.
Thank you, Desmond. And last but certainly not least, our fearless leader of more than 10 years, Madeline McGee. Madeline, are you, I can't see it, you're not on my face, but Madeline,
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Introduce yourself. Yes, yes.
Yay, guys, it is so great to have so many of you with us today and to have a full team of your staff at Together SC. I know you're going to love working with all of our new colleagues as much as Ben and I are. And we've got lots to share with you today, so let's get going. Oh, for those that don't know me, I've been in the nonprofit field for forever. I ran a community foundation for 10 years. I consulted for a while. I started a small nonprofit in Georgetown. I've done it all, and I've been here for 11 years and just love working around the state. In fact, I'm calling in from Greenville, where I was up here for the launch of Greater Good Greenville that Katie Smith announced last night. So, and I head to back to Charleston for a Rent event tonight. So my Prius is back on the road. What's the next slide, Alana?
Well, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the history, but before we get into that, I just want to say one thing to all of our attendees. We are going to be doing a few giveaways. Of course, we're going to make you wait till the end, right before questions. But we are going to be giving away a ticket to the 2023 summit, which we'll be telling you a little bit more about that in a little bit. And then we're also going to be giving away, thanks to one of our consultant collaborative partners, Beth Ellen Holloman is going to be giving away 3 one-hour executive coaching sessions. So be sure to stay on so you stay eligible. You have to be on and live towards the end to receive one of those two giveaways. So with that, Madeline, I'm gonna let you talk about our 25 years.
So Mac Bennett, if any of you remember Mac, he was at the Community Foundation in Columbia at that time. I was down at the Community Foundation in Charleston, and we all started realizing how much we needed training for board members, how much we needed good benefits for nonprofits. And out of that sort of desire to do more than just fund them, a group of charter members that came together and started Together SC back 25 years ago. We did our first conference a year later. So this year will be we're in our 25th year this year, and in 2023, we'll have our 25th conference. So we've got it planned for Columbia. Hope you'll put it on your schedule now. And we are looking at almost 700 members, maybe up to 800, and we're eager to keep growing. So we hope you'll be part of that growth and development. I think the next slide, Alana, is to hear from some of our former board members and current board members about why they think we're terrific.
Yes,
so we've got a little video for you. Alex, you want to start it?
You know, if I could say one thing to encourage the next generation of nonprofit leaders, I would say be innovative. I would say be bold, be curious, and be courageous.
I think organizations in the nonprofit sector and their leaders need to listen to their communities, listen to their neighbors and friends, and be inclusive all across the mission of the organization.
Together SC, in its name, talks about working together, serving together. What I think needs to occur moving forward is that we all need to participate. There's plenty for all of the member organizations to do as we're trying to meet the needs of South Carolinians who are in need of the services that all of the member affiliates provide.
One thing that I would say to the next generation of nonprofit leaders is to stay connected. Get connected and stay connected. You don't have to do this work alone. There are many resources and opportunities for you to connect and network with folks throughout the state to help push forward your mission. So take the opportunity to do that.
The future for nonprofit leaders, I think it's bright. I fundamentally believe that if you are a marketeer, if you're an engineer, if you are a finance person or an accountant, there's a future in the nonprofit sector for you. So check us out. Understanding that not only will you have a chance to earn a living and take care of yourself and your families, but in doing that every day, you're gonna have a chance to make a positive impact on other people. And I can't think of two better things to be able to do through the future of the nonprofit sector, and specifically working with an organization like Together SC.
If you're a young leader and you really haven't decided what your path is, I hope you'll follow your passion, your gut, your enthusiasm. And whether that takes a walk down the business line or a foundation line or a not-for-profit line, come together. Decide what you're going to do for this state. And it really doesn't matter your path, because you can all pull together through Together SC to make it happen.
So if there's one piece of advice that I would give to future leaders, it is don't do it alone and collaborate. You can find strength, you can find knowledge in the relationships with people in the sector, and Together South Carolina provides an extraordinary opportunity for those relationships to be established and to grow.
If I had one piece of advice for South Carolina's future nonprofit leaders, it would be bold, stick to your vision, and follow your passion. That's what makes life worth living.
Well, that is some great advice from some of the folks who've been involved in the organization for the past 25 years. And now I want to introduce Natasha Brockington with Miss Ruby's Kids. She's a very active member of the organization. Natasha, good morning. And we just wanted Natasha to come and speak to kind of her experience with the organization and talk about some of these questions that we have posed for her this morning. So thank you for joining us, Natasha.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning. I have to say, I feel like Together SC is kind of like that restaurant in your community that you just absolutely love. And like someone new moves into the neighborhood, you're like, you gotta go try this place. So that's, to me, I just love Together SC and I love talking about its goodness. But I joined my organization, Miss Ruby's Kids, in 2019. And on my first day as a coordinator in the agency, the founder of the organization told me that if growth in terms of money and increasing capacity are what I wanted, then I needed to see what was going on with Together SC. When I asked her why, she said, because they can help me to get things done. And in my 3 years here with the organization, and now as I sit as the executive director, I have to say that she was absolutely correct. And what I found to be the most beneficial part of membership as a whole, I think Together SC helps to level the playing field. The person who works for a nonprofit in the most rural area of South Carolina and the person who is in the heart of the city both have access to the same trainings, the same resources, and the same networking opportunities. And this to me helps to ensure that everyone doing the work throughout the state, that we're all equipped with the necessary tools to bring about change within our organizations and in our communities. Personally, when I think about what's been most beneficial to me as being a member of Together SC, it would have to be the networking. It is top notch. It's very easy. I'm in Georgetown County. It's very easy to become confined to our communities. And so with Together SC, it's so easy to expand not only your professional networks, but your social networks as well. I have learned so much from my peers who I've met strictly at Together SC events. In the last 6 months, I thought about this last night, but in the last 6 months alone, I have settled on a donor management system. I found a CPA and pursued a grant opportunity. And this is all just based on conversations that I've had with people at Together SC events. So, I mean, it's definitely a part of my day-to-day life here in my nonprofit. And what advice would I give to anyone who's new and just starting to get involved? First things first, the Together SC website is top-notch. Go on the website. Every time I go on their site, I feel like I find something new. There's so many gems. The consultant collaborative has been a game changer for me. A few weeks ago, I reached out to Ben. I don't know if you guys remember, like back in the 90s, pre-Google, there was Ask Jeeves. Well, Ben is my Ask Jeeves. It's just basically Ask Ben. I call Ben for things. And so I'm looking for a CPA, and he's like, Natasha, the Consultant Collaborative. And I go on there, and then all of a sudden, my board, we're talking about, bringing someone on for human resources. And we're like, well, who do we know? I'm like, the Consultant Collaborative, you know what I mean? So it's just really, really kind of helped to make things a lot more easier. Also, the resource page on the website. I'm talking everything you need to know about working in a nonprofit. And no matter the position that you are in, there is relevant information. Not only is there articles, but there are videos as well. Nonprofit management, nonprofit leadership, it is hard. It is very, very hard. And we have to know when to seek wise counsel. And to me, I feel like Together SC, it is the hub. It is a hub for wise counsel. It's a hub for resources. And it is just kind of like a key to building success for nonprofits here in South Carolina. So that's all I got to say.
Well, and Natasha, thank you so much for talking about your experience with the organization and how others can get started as they get involved with us. Madeline, I think we're gonna kind of go back to you now to talk a little bit about our strategic initiatives and the challenges.
So, Natasha, I think we could end after what you just said. Thank you for those good words. I had never thought of it as leveling the playing field between the rural communities and the urban communities, but that is absolutely one of our objectives, and to make the connections between the resources that are in the larger communities and the rural areas. So thank you for that. And so sharing our core values, it's cutesy, but we organize them around the word peers, because that is really what makes this network happen, is when you connect with one another. And so partnering, we never ever do anything alone. We want to be in partnership. We want you to bring us ideas where we can support your partnerships. We want to be strengthening together. Mutual accountability and striving to excel. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we know that excellence is something we should be all striving for. Equity, both in the inclusion and the diversity, we aim to do it and have it be part of everything we do. If you look at our board, if you look at our leadership team, if you look at the people that are leading the peer networks, our goal is to bring you the best and brightest from every corner and every community within our state. Reimagining. I like to say change keeps you young. Change is what life is about. And in the nonprofit sector, we're here because we're optimists. We believe in change. We believe that things can be made better. So always thinking, how do we reinvent? How do we reimagine? And then impact, knowing that it's all about the impact we have in our community. So just remember peers, those are our core values. And I hope you'll help us keep us accountable to those. And if you see us doing something that doesn't reflect those core values, please let us know. Next slide. This is interesting. The challenges facing the sector. When we wrote this strategic plan we published it in 2020, we had no idea that 2 days later after the summit, we would be facing the pandemic. But our imperative was to help you face challenges that occurred. And that is what we did through the pandemic. And that is what we will keep doing through the recession or whatever else gets thrown at us. We have 5 sort of big areas that we're working on. Alana, it looks like part of that is missing. I'm not sure what's going on, but we know we're all facing a talent shortage in the sector that we're aiming to strive. Let's move to the next slide, because I think that has the strategies on them. Yes, let's focus on that. So these are the 5 things that we're really promising to deliver on and are driving our strategic plan, which just aims to guide us through 2025. We know we need to do talent retention and recruitment. And to do that, you need a pipeline of good people. You need benefits that can help attract them. You need to know what you need to pay them. The comp study you're going to hear about. I just put in the tack box that I think a lot of those little quotes that we just heard in that video could be used to reach out to young people and talk to them about the benefits of working in our sector. We need unified sector-wide advocacy. Our advocacy allies have really begun to increase the visibility of the sector at the State House and in local communities. We're here to help you with your advocacy. If you've never done advocacy before, we're here to get you started, and we're here to amplify your voice. We know knowledge sharing isn't just about what you learn in the classroom. It's what Natasha talked about. It's saying, I need a CRM system. Where do I get it? You ask your peers. That's what we believe is peer-led knowledge sharing. And then thought leadership and action on equity. We want to be exposing you to the ideas, the resources, the learning tools that you can expand the equity in your work. And then working locally where you are. There's no need to have everyone come to Columbia anymore. We need to be in your communities. We're ready to be partnering out there and adding value at the local level as well as at the statewide level. So with that, I think I turn it over back to you, Alana.
Yeah, so now we're going to kind of transition into diving into some of the specific programs that we are working on that are around those five, five strategic initiatives that Madeline just spoke about. And with talent retention and recruitment, we're working on our career center, making it better, growing it. It's always been a great resource for nonprofits. We have now an association healthcare plan that Ben is going to talk a little bit more about in a few slides, and making just sure that the sector has the benefits that they need and that we can help you all have the benefits you need to offer competitive benefits to retain and keep talented staff. We want to be there for you to help support your staff, give them professional development opportunities, give them the benefits they need. And we're working on all of these programs in mind to do that and to help you and your organization and your staff be successful in that way. So now I'm going to introduce Debbie Nelson, who's going to talk a little bit more about our peer network programming and what we've been doing with that over the last 12 months and as we're moving forward to the future.
So everyone, as I said earlier, my passion is professional development. And so knowledge sharing is obviously something that's really critical to me. But what you've heard throughout this presentation is we are not only sharing in that way, we want you to share. And peer networks and our peer learning is so important, is core to our strategic initiatives. So last year, we launched our peer network programming. For the most part, most of them were launched last year, some were a little earlier. But we now have opportunities for everyone within your organization to get engaged with Together SC through peer network programming. We have 7 identified peer networks, and I'm going to take you just briefly through each of them, tell you about the format and what the advantages are to you as a member in joining one of these peer networks. You can join in your member profile, and I think we're going to have some opportunity to talk a little bit about how you set up your member profile later in this session. But each of you as a member within your organization has the ability to have a profile. And within that profile, you can identify which peer network you want to be affiliated with. And actually, you could be affiliated with all of them if you would like. You can pick as many as you'd like, depending on your interests and the time available. There are a lot of advantages to signing up for these peer networks, particularly that you will get communications directed at you around the peer network. You will find out about these offerings throughout our other communications and our every other week for Good Connections. I hope all of you are getting that. You'll find out about them on our website and through social media. But we want to have direct contact to each of the members of our peer network. So please think about signing up in your member profile for one of these networks. So let me take you through at a high level. They're in alphabetical order, not by importance, but alphabetical order. Our first one, Madeline already shared that we're doing a lot of work in the advocacy realm, and we have a network called the Advocacy Allies. And this is for those of you out there that are engaged in public policy issues, you're active in advocating and lobbying at the state and federal and local levels. This is led by a professional facilitator, GP McClear with Pecan or Pecan, you can call it either way, public relations. And then as of each of these peer networks are led by a leadership team. The chair of the leadership team for Advocacy Allies is Jamie Moon. He is with the Institute for Childhood Success. One of the things that we are really trying to interject with these peer networks is that they are led by our members. And as you see, Jamie is chairing this, but is with a group of other nonprofit leaders who are engaged in this work of advocacy. And they are the ones that are actually setting the course for what the Advocacy Allies will do throughout the year. That is then facilitated by a professional, in this case, GP McClear. So those Advocacy Allies, please join that network. The next group is the Black Nonprofit Leaders Group. And this one actually has been around for a few years. It's been a great success. It is a network for engaging leaders of color, Black, African American descent, or other leaders of color, a safe space for them to talk about issues related to them in the nonprofit sector. Our facilitator is Jessica Sharp of Sharp Brain Consulting, and it is led by Nicole Eccles of Hope Health, who's also one of our board members at Together SC. Again, a very engaged group. a Black Nonprofit Leaders Group. The third one, and I think Natasha did a great job of ringing the bells for the Consultant Collaborative, is not only a peer network, but is also a membership category for those consultants that are working directly with nonprofits, advising them in a whole host of ways. This group has been led over the past year by Dr. Sean Edwards of Solutions by Sean Edwards. We will be transitioning to Patrick Jinks of the Jinks Perspective. And that group focuses on all issues related to consultants and clearly with your interests in mind, like how can we help the sector and help our nonprofit leaders? You can go to the next slide, Alex. So next two, development peer network. And this again, I think you might assume this, but this is for the people on your teams that are making the ask, those grant writers, the ones that are keeping the mission going, the funding going for your organizations. This is led by Heather Singleton of Strategic Public Relations Consulting. Many of you may know Heather. They just had a great event in Charleston this week, which Madeline and I were able to attend. And this one actually is co-chairs, Bryson Young for the Association for the Blind and the Visually Impaired, and Brett Wadford of the Heirs Property Preservation Group. So again, peer-led, peer-informed. And our next one is the Equity Peer Network. And you heard a lot about how Together SC is focusing its work on equity and fostering that thought leadership and understanding how important it is to our, well, to the world, but particularly to our sector. And so that is the focus of the Equity Peer Network, led by Beth Ruffin of the Everyday Inclusionists and led by the chair, Erica Wooten of Sisters of Charity. And to the next slide, our operations peer network. So there's something for everyone. I guess you're getting that impression, but I just want to make sure you hear about all of them. The operations peer network is for those of you that are in the weeds, those HR people, the finance people, those detail-oriented people that keep everybody moving in the right direction. You may be a COO, but you may be someone that's wearing that job responsibility in another vein as well. They welcome all of you. Miriam Dix of 180 Management Group is the facilitator, and currently Stig Rasmussen of Back Forward is their lead, their volunteer lead chair. And last, but certainly not least, our Volunteer Admin Alliance, more commonly known as VA. This was formerly known as the South Carolina Association for Volunteer Administrators, SCAVA, but they have come under our umbrella. And it's for those of you that are working with volunteers and managing volunteers, led by Mary Dell Hayes, Stopgap Solutions, and chaired by Jeremy Franklin of Department of Juvenile Justice. So anyway, these are 7 groups that you can get involved in. We want to hear from you if there are groups and things that are missing that could be of value to you. And what I want to say is, just stepping back, thanks Alex, that during the year, starting this July, what you can expect if you join one of these peer networks is you will have 4 opportunities for meaningful networking online, virtual. You will have 2 opportunities during the year to meet in person. There will be a fall half-day workshop or professional development opportunity in the fall within each of these networks. And then in the spring, as you're going to hear more about at our summit on March 7th, you will have opportunities to have programming within each of these networks and be able to choose the various topics that you are interested in. So a lot of momentum around these peer networks, and we want your input. We want to hear what you want to learn about. These leadership teams want to hear from you, and these facilitators want to hear from you. So please sign up and enjoy this amazing benefit with your peers. Thank you, and I'll let you go to the next slide.
Thank you, Debbie, for taking the time to talk about the peer networks. And so how long have the peer networks as kind of a new program been up and running? I know some of them have been a little bit longer, but.
Yeah, so the Advocacy Allies and the Black Nonprofit Leaders have been around a couple of years. The other ones really are new as of last fall. So, I mean, they're not even a year. And we have spent a lot of time with our facilitators and our teams to really build these out. So yeah, even though they've been programming this year, we're much more intentional in how everything's going to be delivered. Yeah, it's a labor of love, but this is a top priority for Together SC this year.
Well, thank you for taking the time to kind of go over that. I think that that's an amazing new program that we're offering everyone, and we're excited about the peer networks and maybe I see someone talking about a communications peer group. We have been talking about that. So that is on our minds as well. Another program that is an annual program that we have is our Carolina Leadership Seminars. This was founded, I think, 5 years ago with a grant from the Sisters of Charity Foundation. And it's for new executive directors who have been in their role for 5 years or less. It's a phenomenal program. I might bring Natasha back in a little bit, and it's just 1 second to talk a little bit about it since she was part of the class last year. But we are now accepting applications for the 2022 class, which will start in August. They meet in person in Columbia monthly between August and December. But Natasha, will you speak a little bit to your experience with CLS last year?
Absolutely. It was a great experience. I think so often when you are in a leadership role, you spend a large amount of your time kind of like putting out fires and helping to develop your team. By participating in the leadership seminars, this was carved out time for you to invest in you. It was all about you becoming a better leader in your organization. And Charles Weathers and Madeline did a great job facilitating our discussions. And it was also great because it got you to get outside of your community and to speak with leaders from other areas. I know sometimes, you know, you can go to meetings and you don't want to open up around people in your community because, you know, maybe you're a little uncomfortable talking about what's going on in your organization with people who might know the organization. So there was just there was a sense of community, and you were comfortable. You're very comfortable with the network of people there. You met for a series of months. So at the end of it, you really, really walked away establishing clear partnerships. And also it's just good because you get to learn from each other. I revamped my board manual based off of someone else who was there who shared her board manual with me. It's just learning. It's just another way that we could learn from each other and build our skills. So I highly recommend the leadership seminars.
Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, Charles Weathers, if I know a lot of you might be familiar or have sat in a session with him, he does facilitate all of those sessions with Together SC, doing all, you know, putting them together. And it is a wonderful program. So if you are interested, we're going to be sending a follow-up email with some links. This will be one of the links if you are interested in applying for this year's class. So next, I think we're going to introduce or bring Ben back to talk about some exciting new member benefits that we have. Or no, wait, where did the, sorry. Nope, I'm going to talk about online resources really quick. Sorry, I got a slide ahead of me. So as Natasha was talking about some of our online resources through the website, she did a really great job kind of going over those, but we want you to remember that they're there. Our consultant collaborative directory is on the website. You can search by what you're looking for, what kind of service you're looking for to find a person who might be, you know, suitable or working for what you're looking for. We have our career center. We do with the consultant collaborative often film tips and tricks on a monthly basis. Those are featured in our social media, so do follow us on LinkedIn and in Facebook, or those are kind of the two that we're most active in right now, so that you can kind of keep up to date with what we're doing and who we're working with. So we have a YouTube channel as well. So if you miss any of the sessions and you can't be there, we do record and post them on our YouTube channel. And there's a lot of valuable resources from the last few years of virtual programming and topics that you can explore and go back and watch. And then of course, our website resources and blogs that I think Natasha spoke so well about that I don't need to talk too much more about. So now I'm going to introduce Ben to talk about some exciting new member benefits that we have coming up.
Well, awesome. I'm really excited about these because our you know, I think our member benefits are, so a good number of them are about networking and learning and coming together and meeting each other. and advocating around the nonprofit sector. And then some of our benefits are very much like, how can we save you money? And so some of these benefits which I'm talking about here are of that kind of vein. We launched our association health plan. This had been on the to-do list since SCANPO was founded in 1996. And the environment was never just really right until very recently. And so we've been working on this health plan for a year and a half before it launched in January of this year. And I think we've got 17 organizations on the plan already. We've got over 150 lives, I think, at this point in the plan. So there's still plenty of room for y'all. If you're not in the health plan yet, if you're looking to offer this as an affordable benefit for your employees. I know several of the organizations that we've onboarded onto the health plan this month have never been able to offer health insurance to their employees before, and now are offering it for the first time. Blue Cross Blue Shield and Marsh McLennan, we've been working with them to really make this as competitive and affordable for our member organizations as possible. Then we've just launched with a company called Savvy. They help student loan borrowers organize their information about their student loans. They help with the filing of annual filings for anticipating forgiveness under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. They'll review your student loans and help make sure that you're in the right repayment plan so that you're being as efficient as possible with your repayment strategies. I am personally, I have student loans that are under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and I'm watching that clock in the calendar, and hopefully in March I will be able to have that all be wiped away. That's almost like $90,000 in student loans that I'm hoping will go away very soon, and Savvy can help your employees who have student loans do that. That's a big benefit to working in the nonprofit sector, is that 10 years student loan forgiveness after 10 years. That's a great recruitment tool for you in identifying and bringing younger folks into the sector who may have public student loans that they would like to work towards forgiveness of. I'm wondering if our friends from Mass Mutual are on. I know they said they weren't sure if they would be able to make it or not. But
for Mutual of America.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hey, John. Oh, great. So I will give John a few minutes here just to talk about a brand new, like fresh off the presses, like I just got the web page up this morning, option for retirement plans for Mutual of America. John.
Hey, good morning, everyone. We're excited to be here, and Ben and I and counterpart Blake met for lunch probably about a year ago and kind of started sketching out some ideas of what this might look like. But we're incredibly excited to be working on a partnership where we can offer a waiver of our administrative fees. So if you're not familiar with Mutual of America, we were founded back in 1945 as a nonprofit ourselves. And since our founding, we've been non-commissioned. So that really puts a different set of eyes on how we operate as a business. And so I've heard a lot of talk today about partnership and cooperation and being an ally. And truly, that's kind of what we envision this partnership to be. For many smaller nonprofits, the biggest hurdle to setting up a retirement plan is simply cost. Many providers out there do not offer kind of what we call a startup or a kickoff retirement plan for small organizations. And so by being an active member in Together SC, you will qualify for a waiver of those hard dollar fees. So now we've kind of removed one of the biggest hurdles for you to set up a retirement plan, which may help out from the attraction standpoint as well as the retention standpoint. So I mentioned Blake Meharg, originally a native of Greenwood. Blake is opening up our Columbia office as we speak. So Mutual of America, we operate across the country, but primarily we've historically, I would say we've done most of our options and operations out of our Atlanta office. And we're really excited to have opened up operations in Columbia. And so we have a young woman that's joining us, a recent graduate from the College of Charleston on July 1st, Haley Harrell. So we're really excited to be in the state, to be 2 hours away from really everyone, and excited to share, what those cost savings may mean for somebody that has an existing retirement plan. In my experience, a lot of times the retirement plan kind of automatically functions as long as the contributions go in. And so it's always good to make sure that if somebody else set it up, to make sure that we bring it current, that it meets the values of the organization today. So we're just excited to be a part of this wonderful group and look forward to being a resource for everyone.
Thank you so much, John. And so stay tuned, folks. We'll be making a bigger announcement about the retirement plan options with Mutual of America. So Alana, I think I'm kicking it back to you.
Sure. So we've talked about our programming. We've talked about some upcoming new benefits. And this is just kind of a review, and I'm not going to read through everything. I'm going to highlight some things here. Of other benefits that come with your membership. So for all of our CEOs and executive directors, know that we have a CEO to CEO listserv that you can sign up for. I think somebody can put it in the chat box, a link to sign up for that. You do need to be logged into your member profile to be able to sign up for that, but that is just a great resource that if you have a question, you can pose it. And there's, I think, Desmond might know the number of folks that are on that, but it's, I know it's over 100 CEOs that are on that list that can be there to help answer those questions. Ben, do you want to talk a little bit about this Ask Ben?
This is Natasha's doing. I'm just going to give her credit for it. Her and Mary Dell Hayes. I've been hearing a lot from folks about how they appreciate being able to just call and talk with our staff and ask questions. And I have said for years that answering weird nonprofit questions is one of my favorite aspects of my job. And the more challenging, the more interesting, the more I have to think about it, the better. So hopefully we're still working on sort of what the details might be, but we're looking to put on a regular, maybe monthly or bi-weekly call at a set time that is sort of open office hours. Any member can jump in and ask a question, and maybe other people on the call may have a good answer for it. It doesn't always have to come from me, but we'll try to answer your questions and point you in the right direction. So keep an eye out for that. We'll announce that in For Good Connections and on our events calendar.
Yeah, and speaking of For Good Connections, that we send that out right now bi-monthly. And if you're not getting it, reach out to one of us and make sure so we can get you on the list so that you're getting that, or make sure you're putting our contact information in your accepted contacts so that it's not going into your junk mail. It does come from MailChimp, and I think sometimes it might get lost, but there's a lot of great information that we put in that publication that comes out via email. So be on the lookout for that. We also offer a board chair and CEO consultation with Madeline. When I worked with Justice 360 before I came over to Together SC, we took advantage of that, and it was very helpful to help us plan for some board transition thing that we had to do there with that organization. You do get a free job posting per year with our Career Center, so make sure that you're using that and utilizing that. And then there's also a discounted rate if you need to do more than one per year. You get a member rate discount for our annual nonprofit summit. And then also we have our, the advocacy updates and legislative alerts that we talked about. We have our guiding principles and best practices that is available on our website for download, where you can kind of go through that and give yourself a little self-evaluation. It's a fantastic tool to use as a nonprofit. The For Good Connections. And then there's some other, benefits here. And then the member directory that we have, not just for the consultant collaborative, but for our nonprofit members, our philanthropic members. You can go through, all of our philanthropic members have a member profile, and you can go in and search. Granted, you have to be signed in and as in your member profile, which we'll talk a little bit more about that, because you may not even know you have a member profile, but you do. And you can do a search. And if you're just looking for philanthropic partners to do research on, you can do a search by those. You can also do a search in different categories, which is why it's important for you to have your member profile updated so that your information is relevant and current, and you have your logo on there, and you're getting the exposure from your profile through our organization as well. And then, of course, all members, nonprofit members, have the ability to vote for Together SC board. So I think next we're going to talk about some upcoming events that we have. So on June 28th, which is next week, we're going to be having a virtual event to talk about Savvy, that new student loan forgiveness software program that we're going to be offering. So if you're interested in that, your staff is, I think that's a great thing for you to share with your staff and have them be involved if you know that that might be something that they have or, you know, struggle with, to just learn more about what that is and what that benefit is and how you can get signed up for that. Next Wednesday, we're going to be doing a nonprofit cheer meetup. We have partnered with the Central Carolina Community Foundation. We're going to be meeting at the Girl Scout Leadership Center here in Columbia at 5:30. So if you're in the area, please do join us. It's a free event. You do not have to be a member to attend, so bring your friends. Just be sure to register so we know, how much food and adult beverages to buy so that we have enough for everyone. And then we have our annual or our monthly Removing Our Blinders series, which again, that's not, you do not have to be a member to participate in those events. Those are all virtual as well. So be on the lookout for upcoming events. In our For Good connection that goes out, we always list them in those, but you can also go to our knowledge calendar on our website and review the events that are upcoming. We're going to be, starting to put up the peer network events that are going to be happening. And we're going to be doing more regional member gatherings around the state throughout the year. And we have just a lot going on. And we're really excited about all the events that we have coming up. So Madeline, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the plans for our next big event, one of our next big events.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. So we are coming back to Columbia. We sort of do Columbia every other year. We are doing 3 events in one. We are going to have those tactical breakout sessions on development issues, finance issues, operations, programming that are so critical to your staff, learning what you need to get done. Debbie's going to be curating those. They're happening on March 7th. I think we've got 3 or 4 rounds of sessions, so putting lots into that day. You can actually just come up for that day if your staff is interested. We know that there's a chance with the costs of gasoline rising and potential recession that budgets may be cheap. So we want to give you an affordable one-day option with that. On Wednesday, we're doing something we haven't done in more than a decade. We're looking to make that day about our partnerships with corporations, our partnerships with state government, our partnerships with local government and businesses. So that will really focus on the team we are building in our community, not just internally. So if you think of the first day as your internal team and partnerships, the second day is your external team, and then the third day, and GP with our advocacy allies will be curating that day. And we'll have a big reception that night at the Columbia Art Museum, with which we will encourage you to invite your state representatives and to use that opportunity to thank them for the investments they've made in you and your community. But GP and China Phillips, who was with Advocacy Allies, will be curating that day. And then on Wednesday, because we know they never stop and they can handle 3 days of work, we will be having our CEO forum for CEOs and board leaders. And Charles Weathers will be curating that day to build upon the work he did at the summit this past year. So it's 3 events in one. You can bring your team on Tuesday. Then if they don't want to stay for the advocacy part, send them home, bring board members up to be part of the advocacy effort, then have the chair and the CEO really debrief, work deep on Thursday. So look for more on that, but we are excited to be doing it in Columbia. We'll be at the Marriott, and it'll be nice to be back together and working with those we need to be working with.